What's going on, y'all? Here I go having to fix this. Y'all just rock with me. Ooh, we in the car. Bear with me with my energy level because I got into a fight today. Early this morning, got into a fight. Y'all wouldn't even believe it. And I lost. When I tell you my allergies kicked my behind, my allergies took me through. I couldn't even fight back. Couldn't even do it. I just gave up. And I normally be with the y'all probably gonna hear me say that and think like, that was so corny. We really thought she got into a fight. Whatever. So my energy level is not all the way up there. My head is hurting. My eyes look a little low. And it's not because I was hitting that pack, you understand? It's like when my sinuses and stuff get to acting up, everything just acts up. So my face probably looks a bit pale. I'm tired. My energy is low. Just all of that. If you know, you know. If you don't, just praise the Lord that it ain't you. And sorry if this is moving a little bit, but you know, I don't know if we always understand, like, you know, something can make sense, especially if you hear somebody else say it. It's like, duh, that makes perfect sense. That's common sense. Or when you hear somebody else going through something, you then think to yourself, you know, what you would and would not do, what you would and would not stand for, what you would and would not go through. But it's always so much easier when you are not the person that's in the situation. So I'm more so kind of talking to the people that kind of feel like, you know, I'm in something, I've been dealing with something, more so specifically people, and I'm just really trying to balance what is happening when everything shows signs that moving forward is probably more beneficial. Taking a break is more beneficial. Of course, I can say 1,001 things on this topic, but I'm just gonna talk based on what comes to my heart, mind, and spirit. And so just bear with me. Of course, we understand that, you know, everything doesn't apply across the board. We know that. And even in this particular scenario, when you're dealing with people, you can know something isn't good for you, which we've all been there. We've all been a part of something or had a dynamic that we knew wasn't the best for us. We knew it wasn't profitable. We knew that it was emotionally draining. And, you know, we still stayed probably just half past a minute too long. And you don't have to feel bad about that. You don't have to feel guilty about that, because when you kind of understand the dynamics of how the mind works, how the body works in terms of chemical release, and then that mixed with your emotional availability, that mixed with the hope that you have, the scenario that you created in your head, the story, the fairy tale that you ever so want, whether it's with family, whether it's with friends, right? And so sometimes it can be very taxing emotionally when you're constantly having to go through this, almost like this double dutch game of in and out, in and out, in and out. You know, when things are not the best, you know, you're going through all these emotional roller coasters because you're trying to figure out, is this just a moment? Right? Even if especially if it's repeated behavior, you're trying to rationalize so many things in your mind. Is this just a moment? Is this just something that I gotta say, okay, my feelings is hurt right now, but you know, tomorrow might be better, or tomorrow they may improve, or tomorrow they may have a different level of understanding and they might be willing to have a discussion about it. Or you're kind of saying to yourself, maybe this really isn't a moment because this keeps occurring over and over and over and over and over again. right? And then sometimes our mind tells us things like, well, we've been together for so long. Well, we have kids together. Well, that's my card telling me somebody's too close. You know, your mind begins to tell you those things. Your mind begins to say, but that's my sister, that's my uncle, that's my best friend. Right? We look at history. We just rationalize all of these different things, and it can get you confused. It can make you feel confused. Literally, you can be confused in your mind because your thoughts are saying so many different things. And then sometimes you have the other side of yourself where your thoughts are like, no, you know what? I'm confident. This is insane. This is crazy. Like, there's no way this is happening. There's no way I continue to accept this, right? And then your thoughts also heighten, because now your thoughts heighten in the area where you're looking at what the individual did, and it seems very, very maximized. Now, this particular video isn't about people that make efforts and they make mistakes, so you're trying to work through that. This particular video is about just really being able to try to understand that it's okay to realize that you're in a difficult process when you're trying to make a decision on who to have in your life and who not to have in your life, but more so who not to have in your life. And the way the chemical balance works and the chemicals that you release, if you will, it's very, very powerful. We have different things like we have endorphins. I'm pretty sure it's called endorphins. It's not endorphins, it's endorphins, right? We have different chemicals that are released that trigger sadness, happiness, pain, trauma, fight or flight, and then we have the emotions that trigger what we think is love, what we think is you're gonna miss them, what you have chemicals that trigger the thought process of what is my life gonna be like without the person or without this particular family member or whoever it may be. And so now you're warring with those two. It's like you see something is happening, you see that there's something going on, you have a pretty decent idea that it's not really healthy. So then but then you're warring with, but you love them, but you care for them, but that's my family, but I was taught, it's family over everything, blood is thicker than water, and da-da-da-da. But then you going back to the other side where you like, okay, but they really not there for me. And when I say one thing, they get mad because I'm trying to be accountable and I'm trying to hold them accountable. So it's like you're in this tug of war of emotion, and we've all been there. And I'm not going to tell you that I have the perfect answer for you, but what I can encourage you to do is really just try to be able to decipher. Like, once you come out of your emotional state, really try to decipher what it is that you're experiencing. Again, I'm not going to talk more so on the video where people make mistakes. In this video, I'm not going to talk about where people are making mistakes and, you should restore and make an effort. No, I'm talking about really sit back and really ask yourself, am I staying around because I'm afraid to be alone? Am I staying around because of what I was taught growing up? That's still your sister at the end of the day. That's still your brother at the end of the day. What am I, and the reason why I like to say this next statement the way I'm going to say it is because it can put it into perspective. What am I really choosing to accept? Now hear me, because I'm not blaming anybody for pain that you may feel. But when I say a statement a certain way, I'm hoping that it hits home. Why am I saying that? Because from a professional perspective, and I'm not telling anybody to do this, I'm telling you from my professional perspective and what I have been taught in education, through education, is when a person wants to unalive themselves. Work with me, because you can't say certain words on YouTube. If a person is at the point where they want to unalive themselves, they tell us, don't say things like, are you okay? Wait, what are you planning on doing? No, they say, ask them the direct question. Do you want to unalive yourself? They say, because when you say that, something happens in the brain. Again, this does not mean this is a one size fit all. And I'm not telling y'all to do this to the people that y'all care about. I'm talking from a professional point of view where I have years of experience in this. They say that something happens in the brain. I'm not saying in everybody's brain, so don't go using this method. Something happens in the brain where the words brings the reality to a finite decision. This is final. So they say, okay, so you want to unalive yourself. Well, I guess so. Well, how do you want to unalive yourself? Now we're going to get into the detail of it so that they can begin to hear what they're trying to articulate. And again, I'm not saying this 100% guarantee works, but so many studies have shown that is the approach. So when I said to you all, what you're doing is, by staying in these unhealthy situations that you know are a burden for you, that is emotionally taxing, especially when we're talking about people. So this is not a video where we're talking about careers and decision making and destiny. This is a video talking about, when we're dealing with people, specifically people that are in our close circle, because that's where it's really going to hit hard. So what you're doing is, by continuing to allow yourself to do that, what you're saying is, I'm willing to accept and subject myself to this type of pain. And I know one of the things that can be very, very challenging is we will begin to measure the dynamic of the relationship based on, well, maybe they're not as bad as of a person. Maybe they just having a bad day. You will start telling yourself all this stuff that you actually know deep down in your gut ain't true. And now let me talk about the beauty of having people in your life that can also see things when you can't see it because you're in it. So I'm not talking about people that just be telling you stuff because they hating. Sometimes the people around you that have proven that they care about you and have your best interest, they can see the turmoil. They can see the changes that you have going on in your life, mentally, emotionally, physically. They're witnessing this. So therefore, they can come to you and say, hey, friend, hey, bro, hey, mom, hey, cuz, whatever the dynamic is. I don't think this is the best relationship for you. I'm not saying that the person is terrible. But what I am saying is, I see what it's doing to you. And then this is what we say, well, you're not there when da-da-da, and you don't know when da-da-da, right? But they can give you an insight that you can't see because you have so many chemicals being released that is causing you to almost be a blocker to your emotion, a blocker to your rationalization, a blocker to your wisdom, a blocker to your decision making. And so everybody that's in your life, if they've tested that, again, not because they're perfect and not because you've also witnessed them go through things, because just like I'm a firm believer in a person can teach you something because they've been through it, I believe that. Even if they could still be making a mistake, it's no different than when a person's saying, yeah, I know you see me being a drug addict, but that doesn't mean I'm going to tell you to be a drug addict. It's the same concept. Yeah, that person that's giving you advice may be kind of going through the same thing, or you may have witnessed them be like, how can you tell me and I watched you go through a bad relationship? But that does not mean that they're going to encourage you to stay in a bad relationship or stay in a bad friendship or pardon me, keep an unhealthy dynamic with a family member. No, they're not going to. And if they are encouraging you, that's crazy. Because I'm using drugs and I know what it's done to me. What kind of person would I be by saying, yeah, go ahead and use? I could be talking to you while I'm high or while I'm drunk, saying, don't be like me, I'm telling you. But in that scenario, a person who has sobriety or who doesn't struggle with addiction ain't gonna say, well, how can you tell me? No, you're gonna glean from that because it's gonna make sense. But see, the challenging part is when we're dealing with something that we're fighting against, it's hard for us to take the advice of the people that are closest to us. Because now the enemy wants to get in your head and in your ear and start making you look at their life, start making you judge their life, start making you judge their decisions. The enemy will even have you regurgitating that stuff to them. Well, how can you tell me if? Well, I can't take no advice from you because you ain't never. You don't know what it's like. It doesn't mean that they still don't have eyes to be able to recognize. So it's also good to understand and to get the analysis of people you trust. Of course, when you're in a marriage, I encourage you to be careful because you just can't just be spilling the beans, which is why I said it has to be somebody that you all trust, that you trust. So that you can actually ask yourself, if this person has my best interest, maybe I shouldn't just dismiss what they're saying. Maybe I should take a moment and say, and maybe consider and maybe ponder and then take it to in God in prayer and say, Lord, help me. Because whether I admitted it to them or not, I know I'm struggling in this area. I know I'm letting stuff override. I know if this was my son, my daughter, my friend, I would be telling them the same thing. But God, help me, because I'm struggling to see it. Because I have all of these chemicals being released that's trying to tell me something else when the proof is in the pudding. So God, what am I struggling with? Is it my loneliness? Is it my low self-esteem? Is it my trauma? Is it my triggers? And I'm going to tell you what can get so tricky. Because to some, it may be easy to cut off somebody where the things that they're doing is so obvious. Right? It's like, okay, that's a no-brainer. You trying to play me. You trying to do this. You trying to do that. Boom, boom, I'm done. But then it's not easy when you've built a relationship and when you have history and you saying, I'm not saying the person is evil, but some of this pain that's being inflicted, I know is not okay either. And sometimes as humans, we have to recognize, just because a person isn't for you, it doesn't mean they're a bad person. They can have bad qualities, bad characteristics. Their words can be bad. Their actions could be bad. But it doesn't mean that they're a terrible person. It just means that they're not your person. And this dynamic applies with family. So you just have to understand, what is the dynamic? What is this relationship between my title and their title? What does that look like for me and for them? Is this bringing harm? Is this bringing pain? And then you have to have a balance in how you maintenance that and maintain that for the sake of your health and wellness and peace. Because if I'm doing the most, not only do I want somebody to tell me, but honey, if you got to cut me off, baby, you go ahead and do what you got to do. If I'm showing signs that I do not want to get it together, leave me to myself, straight up. Because I think we get so engulfed in this notion that we can save people, that the more we endure, one day they're gonna wake up and realize that I should do better and I should love you and I should give you more and da 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 da. I'm only saying this as well from personal experience and from so many people I talk to. People will hold on to dynamics of relationships till they blue in the face because they holding on to a fantasy and they refuse to acknowledge what is happening to them over and over and over again. Again, this is not the video where I'm talking about people have the room to make mistakes, but they also have to be accountable to show that they're trying to make improvements and they're trying to grow and they're trying to be better. I'm talking about when y'all know, it's some of y'all that's going to watch this and you're going to say, man, I know I should make a different decision. I know this is not good for me. I know this is not healthy for me. And I'm not encouraging people to just cut people off forever. People can't be changed. No, because I don't want nobody to think that I can't change. Which is why you have to ask yourself, if I take a break, I have to make sure I take a realistic break. And I have to set boundaries. And I have to be willing to enforce those boundaries for the sake of. See, we sometimes think taking a break means all hell broke loose and it ain't fair. No. Sometimes we need a moment to get ourselves together. Sometimes a person needs a moment to kind of realize what's going on. And it's for them to either figure it out, we can move forward. But if you don't figure it out, this break has to remain in place. And that break could be months. That break could be, turns into a break could turn into not at all. It don't mean I wish you hell. I actually wish you well. It just means our dynamic has to shift. Our relationship has to change. There's nothing wrong with that. Which is why I always give tangible examples. When we do things to punish children, we're trying to teach them something. Although it's not comfortable for us to punish. But in our minds as parents, as aunts and uncles, or whatever the case may be, you know that it'll benefit them if they get the lesson. How many of you have had that experience where you, if it's your child or what have you, or a niece or what have you, and you try to teach them a lesson and they don't get it, and you say, well, you only just hurting yourself. Now you got to go back on punishment because I tried to tell you. And that 3-day punishment turned into a week, turned into 2 weeks. See, the concept makes sense when we're doing it to other people. The concept makes sense when we're talking about a job. A job says, hey, if you make a mistake, I got to write you up. Hopefully, Well, we're going to have a conversation. If the conversation doesn't work, we're going to go to a write-up. If the write-up, they're going to constantly tell you what your consequence is in hopes that you get it. Now, we ain't talking about companies that hope you don't get it so they can try to find a way to fire you because they extra anyway. No, they're hoping that you get it so that you can stick around. So you have to have that same concept for yourself. Hey, you know what? If we take a break and we dialogue what that looks like, it is in hopes that you get it and that I get it, and we make some adjustments. Some areas we're going to change in and some areas we're going to adjust in. Because there's a difference. There's some things you can change about yourself. Like for example, for me, I didn't really like to drink water like that. What are you blowing for? And then all of a sudden, I love to drink water now. That's a change. An adjustment is I don't like to drink water, but I'm willing to drink it occasionally. I make a little adjustment. And so you have to just find a way to be strong, knowing your support system, reading your word, self-talking, not just listening to any podcast and any YouTube, because I ain't hating. If what I say don't blend with you, no harm, no foul. Go find what does, because my overall goal is not to just attract a bunch of people to me. My overall goal is everybody finds something that's going to help them in a time of distress, help them in a time of need. Be there for them. Be that breath of fresh air. Be that word of wisdom. Be that sound of judgment. Whatever. It ain't got to be me. But find something that you are feeding your mind with other than the rehearsed fantasy. Find something to help you break away from unhealthy relationships, break away from unhealthy family dynamics. You can't control other people, but you can control the information that you get. You can control the articles you read. You can control the preachers you listen to. You can control the podcasts you listen to, the YouTubers you listen to, did I already say books? You can control what you download on your Kindle, which you can control what you're doing throughout your day to say, man, God, if I'm honest, a part of me keeps dealing with this because there's something deeper that's going on. Reveal it to me, because I don't want it to be this. Lord, I know I'm not looking for perfect, because we can't be perfect. But I know this is inflicting pain. I know this is inflicting harm. I know it's reinforcing my insecurity while I'm trying to work on it. See, we're not talking about when you in a place and you don't want to work on nothing yourself, so you just want to be a mess. No, you're talking about, wait a minute, I'm trying to be better. I'm trying to work on the things that I know that me, myself, needs to work on, the areas of trauma I need to work on, that I need to highlight, that I need to be better at, that I need to seek a counselor for, a therapist, a life coach, a pastor, a friend, whatever is healthy. And if you finding yourself working on those, and you can literally note the changes and some of the differences that you've made, but then this individual or this collection of people keep finding ways to infiltrate your the progress you've made because they don't want to do any work. Now there's a decision you're gonna have to make. There's a decision you're gonna have to make, and I'm telling you, it's not easy. But one thing you have to begin to realize and convince yourself is, will you really die without it? Will you really die without it? I think I could say that on YouTube. I don't know. Really, will you really stop breathing without them? And I know even some of us, we're used, but what if they die? I don't want to have guilt. Okay, well, that doesn't mean that you keep subjecting yourself to pain and heartache, because how is that beneficial to your life? There's a life after it. There's hope after it. Do you not realize people that have people in their life sometimes feel hopeless, and people that don't have people in their life sometimes they feel hopeless? You have people that have best friends. You have people that have great mothers, great fathers, and they still go through stuff. They still feel alone. They still subject themselves to unhealthy relationships and dynamics. Do we not understand that? So what am I saying? We all will fall in the category, but it's important to keep people around you that are striving, not consistently and not consecutively over and over. No, it's okay. They make a little mistake. This is not this video. But what I'm saying is, when you know that something continues to happen, you got to be willing to acknowledge that thing. And here's something that you could do. I want you to get a calendar. And I want you to put a little tally every time this person makes you feel bad. Now, again, we're not talking about because you don't want to receive constructive criticism, because you don't want to hear about things you need to change in your life, and now you want to be mad at everybody because they trying to help you. No. I want you to really keep track. Because sometimes people need to see things in their face. And I'm not saying this to exploit anybody or to say that anybody in your life is a terrible person. It's not this video. Maybe one day record some conversations and go back and listen to it, and maybe you can see, maybe you can hear, is this what they saying to me? Is this how broken I sound? Is this how desperate I sound? This is embarrassing. What is going on in me that I'm this damaged and broken, that I keep subjecting myself to this? Ain't nothing gonna happen. I'm still gonna live. I'm still gonna have breath in my body. And as a matter of fact, I'm giving this person way too much energy and power. And yes, it's going to be hard when you break away. Yes, it's going to be hard not to call. Yes, it's going to be hard not to share good news, bad news, and da-da-da. But ask yourself, were you getting it now? Were you getting it while you was with them? So what are you losing? A fantasy? What you created? Well, I guess it ain't all bad, but it ain't all good. You keep on rationalizing. And the Bible talks about there's a season for everything. There's a time for everything. Sometimes we got to just be by ourselves. And I know it gets lonely. I know it gets sickening. I know you want to be able to call your friends and go have brunch and kiki and just, oh, everything is all good. And we laughing and showing off pictures and we selfieing it up. I know we all thirsty. We all want that. I know. But at the cost of what? Your happiness? You overly compromising, you losing yourself, you crying, you emotional. At the expense of what? At the cost of what? Your well-being, your state of mind. So therefore, when you do finally walk away, you just got another load and another burden of emotional damage, so that when the next person comes, you can't even handle that. When it is time to restore, you so messed up because you've been taking so much for so long, you done became numb to it. It's almost like an oxymoron. You so numb from the pain, but you still got pain and you don't even know it. You just start accepting it. Then your mind starts saying, I guess everybody like this. I guess this and this and that. But you don't want to keep carrying those things. You want to get to a place where you start to identify it and use those healthy supports that can see not what you can't see, because we're not dummies, but that can see what you're not able to see because you're vulnerable. You're vulnerable in your brokenness. You're vulnerable in your loneliness. You're vulnerable to the manipulation. You're vulnerable to the sadness. You're vulnerable to the desires of wanting more, wanting a healthier relationship, wanting a healthier dynamic, wanting a healthier family dynamic. You're so vulnerable that you can't even see it. And we've all been there. And I'm not talking about finding ways to dog people out, cut people off, just do them any kind of way. Oh, well, I realize you ain't for me. I gotta go. No, but this is more so about you just having a real conversation with yourself. Get you a life coach. You can book me. If you need somebody to cry to with no judgment, if you need somebody to talk to about what you're going through with no judgment, maybe, okay, you may say, Jennifer, I don't have that person. Well, you can come talk to me. I ain't gonna sit and tell you about, well, that's common sense. What he doing? What she doing? What they doing? I'm gonna give you the safe space to talk. I'm gonna give you the safe space to admit I'm just weak to this. I'm gonna give you the safe space to say I'm lonely. I feel like I can't do better. I've been dealing with it for so long. I'm going to create that safe space for you. And then we're going to get into the dynamic of some options that you might have. Because I get it. This ain't going to change tomorrow. For some people it might, but for some people it won't. But that don't mean you don't deserve the support to have somebody walk you through it. So you don't have to feel so alone to the point where you so alone, you paralyzed, you can't even make a decision, and you can't even create a plan. Ain't no light at the end of your tunnel. It's just straight dark. It's like when you go to a water park and you go down that pool and the slide is just all dark. I don't like them kind of pools. I'm like, Because although my mind can see that it's an ending, baby, when you in that darkness, I don't like that. Some of y'all might like that, but I don't like that. I ain't gonna be able to. I'll be like, because I'm already claustrophobic and I can't see. And sometimes them pools that still have light, but then you still be in it and it's so closed, it still feel a little dark to me. I don't like that. What I'm saying is, try to do something. Don't give up. Even if you say, while I'm in the shower, I'm going to use that time to encourage my spirit man. Whatever area you feeling low in, whatever area you feeling weak in, if you just do it while you in the shower, that's still something. If you do it while you washing dishes, and the person very well may still be around, but you may have an opportunity to go to the grocery store alone or go check on the baby, you know. And I know it's a lot of crazy dynamics where people may be like, oh no, you don't understand, they around me 24 hours 7 days a week. But find a way. I don't care if you record a sound bite for 5 seconds. If you just got a few seconds to yourself, record a quick sound bite, so by the time you going down the stairs, you just quickly play, I'm gonna get out of this, I'm strong. Whatever it is you got to record, I'm gonna make it. I love myself, I value myself. But don't let the enemy make you feel like you're trapped, because I know that's what he does. He makes us feel trapped to people. Like there's no way out. There's no other way to go. There's no other way to be. How I'm gonna do this? How I'm gonna do that? I don't have the money. I don't have this. I don't have that. And you just get sunken deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper into a hole. And baby, you past settling. This is for men and women. You past settling. You ain't even settling no more. It's just this what it is. But stay encouraged, because I want you to know you're not alone. I want you to know it is hard. You will cry. We don't like to cry when we have to let something go. We don't like to feel the pain in the body, the pain in the heart, the racing thoughts when you have to let something go, let somebody go, take a break, create a new life, starting over. And then we ain't even talked about getting back out there. I know it's not easy. It takes a lot. But what I want to tell you is it's doable and it's possible. You don't have to be subject to those things. You don't have to be subject to talking crazy and you rationalizing it. You don't have to be subject to control, to the lack of support, to being used, to being manipulated. You don't have to be subject to that. I know it'll take time, but as long as you waking up and you got breath in your body, time is on your side. And like I said, reach out to me. Go to my social media, Jennifer Crawley on Facebook, and you can message me. You can email me, jennifercrawley86@gmail.com. You can email me if you need to talk. Y'all might say, who are you? You ain't that important. Hey, I'd rather have somebody than nobody, and I'm not a somebody that's going to take advantage of you. I don't have no skin in the game. My heart says I want everybody to excel and succeed and to be better. I love y'all. We'll talk soon.